I would like to understand from you is this. Firstly, do you accept that there definitely is a creator and who is one and only? Or do you still have doubt about God's existence? Because that is important, firstly, to appreciate and acknowledge within ourselves as the truth of reality.
It's really hard for me to say yes, definitely, but
What makes you say no?
not no. There's no no about it. There's no like. I'm not questioning it. I do believe there's a creator.
Okay.
I do believe that.
That belief.
But it's hard for me to say that. I know.
Sure.
It's like a resistance inside me to say yes. There's a creator for some.
So let's help you build on that belief to be convinced intellectually. Yeah, convinced more intellectually. You see, if we are now here, something existing, do you think there was a time there was absolute nothingness? Is it possible to have the absolute nothingness?
Is it possible for there to be nothing? I don't think there is. Can there ever be just nothing?
Nothing will generate nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But, that's what I.
Right.
It's just.
So in the Quran, Allah tells us, you see, you see, the way to convince ourselves about this absolutely in the existence of the Creator is to really develop ourselves critically minded, critical thinking. Allah says, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ. Were they created from nothingness, from nothing? Or were they themselves the creators? Did they create the heavens and the earth?
Yeah.
Nay, they have no firm faith. So the Quran reasons with us, and you would know that we did not come from nothingness at one point, because nothingness doesn't have any power to create. It doesn't even exist. So nothingness could not create. So that means there has to be always something.
So why do you think we were created? For a reason.
There is a reason. So do you accept there has to be always something?
Yeah, I do.
When I see a star there, I think it's just there, right? If that was a star, imagine that's the moon over there, right?
Yeah.
Now, if that was a star, if I saw that as a star, the normal general people understanding is, if you're not really into science, you think the star is right there. But the reality is, the star at this very minute, it's not there. That was the position of the star hundreds of millions, if not billions years ago, when the star was there. The star, the light from that star was traveling. It took millions of years to come to us to observe it. But by that time, the star has moved its position from there. It's no longer there. It's gone. It's like this. The star emitted light and it's coming, but the star is moving away. And by the time it goes there, the star is somewhere else. So
Why though? Why?
Because that's how great is this issue.
but
So you think God created all the stars? And the moon?
we want to make an important point of this. Is something that we were amazed to hear the answer. I think we probably have just slightly missed it. The stars that we see, they are not there. We only see the star that was there at one point. Do you agree at least that? It's called the position of the stars. Quran says مواقع النجوم.
In the Quran, فلا أقسم بمواقع النجوم. Meaning, God says, I will not make an oath by the positions of the stars. وإنه لقسم لو تعلمون عظيم. And it's a great oath. But you are not yet aware of this. God is addressing the people at that time. You're not yet aware of the meaning of the term positions of the stars. Yeah? So now we discovered recently that after this discovery and after recently we knew through telescopes and everything, now we know those stars who are millions of years away from us. What we see now when we observe them, we literally observe the position of the star when the light departed from it.
Yeah, not the star itself, it's the position.
Who told Muhammad? It's upon him and the literate man.
So does it keep the light there or something?
No, the light has come to us already. These lights, they travel, come to you.
Oh, right, okay, right, yeah.
But the light is, the source has moved away.
Right.
So the star moved away from its thing. So the Quran is highlighting an aspect called, it's the position of the stars. Normally people would not even understand, what do you mean by position of stars? Because what you see is what's there, but it's not there. So that knowledge to a scientist or an astrophysicist should be striking. Like, how would someone even know this information? Because
and there's someone illiterate, unable to read and write, and will bring this information and to be discovered after 40
yes, illiterate.
So how
Allah revealed him the knowledge to him.
It's not like
Allah informed him about this information.
It's not like the people who say, like he wasn't. Yeah.
So who taught him?
It's not like the people who say, like, Prophet Muhammad was not illiterate, like he claimed.
No, that's Quran says he's illiterate.
Now, so you mentioned God taught him, and now okay, that could be one coincidence. Okay, let's move on in the Quran. Let's talk more in the Quran. Okay, the Quran says, have you been to this? Have you been to the ocean? To the ocean side? What do you think the deepest point any diver could dive 1400 years ago?
Without any
equipment.
How many meters?
like 10 most of it. At most.
Maybe 10, 15, 20, whatever. That's it. Would anyone know what is deep in the ocean?
A mile deeper in ocean. Would they even know how it looks like?
Look at how it's launched to them.
They don't have the clue. Now, Quran told us 1400 years ago about this fact. God says in the Quran, those who are away from the guidance of God, like someone who's deep in the bottom of the ocean, above him there is a wave. Above the wave there is another wave. Above the sea there is a cloud. Even if he took his hand out of his pocket, he will be unable to see it. Darkness upon darkness. And whomever God didn't give him the light of guidance, it has no light of guidance. My point is, God has given a description of darkness, talking about people who are misguided away from the guidance of God.
The layers and layers of darkness, and there's total darkness in the ocean. In fact, the living organisms in there, they have their own source of light. Yeah, you know that. So the Quran is saying there's layers of darkness going darker and darker and darker to a point where it's absolute darkness.
We have like infrared.
Yeah.
Visually, you can just see them.
Yeah. So absolute darkness, that's something that people wouldn't appreciate and know. And not only that, the very fact of the existence of interoceanic currents or waves. Did you even know that there are, just like surface waves, there are waves underneath the oceans? You could not see them because if you go up space with your satellite, you can see them perhaps. But did they have satellites back then, 1400 years ago? No.
Yes, that they, when the water is wet, you think that they're setting it.
Yeah. So 1400 years ago, we did not have satellites to know that there were interoceanic waves. So when the Quran mentions all of this, it's for us to reflect and say this knowledge could not have been known by any human being at that time.
Like at the time.
Even if you were to dive, you would not observe this kind of wave because this book is from him.
And as well, for example, what do you think people they would know about the development of the fetus in the womb of the mother? We don't want to know that.
They made lots of mistakes by assuming, like Hippocrates, Aristotle, Calon, and various others.
God has told us in the Quran, when the human being like similar to a blood clot, similar to this, that it evolved and developed into like what is similar to a bite. And this bite developed into bones, and this bones covered with the flesh, and this flesh become a new creation.
Just to give you a background context, at one point there was this scientific consensus and understanding for the majority of the people that human beings were like a miniature human being in the sperm from a man, and it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And in 1673, Van Leeuwenhoek, when he had his very simple microscope, but it was powerful enough for them at that time, he says, look, we can see that, and they actually drew like a human being like this, and then it becomes bigger and bigger. It's called the pre-formation theory, which is, of course, it's false, it's incorrect, but that's what the belief had even in the 1673 at that point. But the Quran, 1400 years ago, is telling us no, human beings are created in successive stages, development one after the other, one form of the other, from this stage to the next stage and so on and so forth, going against even the scientific consensus of the day. Okay? Now we appreciate and realize the Quran has been clearly saying what we know all along from today's understanding of science. But our point is, this information in this book, the Quran, comes from which source? It could not have been come from any person, any people, any community from the socio-historical milieu in 14th century, because they had a false understanding then. They thought the menstrual blood helped in coagulating the male's discharge to form a human being, but we know that it has no function in creating a baby, menstrual blood. Okay, that's what they believed. So going against the current, at that time, the contemporary scientific understanding, the Quran going against that and said, no, it's not like that. And now we ask this question, How did the Quran know and get it right? When you had, say, 16 different types of theories and all of them are wrong, some right here and there, and Quran gets all of them right from someone who doesn't have medical science knowledge, someone who doesn't have scientific knowledge, let alone any knowledge of reading a book of any kind. The Quran tells us if they knew that you were able to read and write, these are answering your question, they would have doubted. The Quran says, they know his community has seen him not being educated and learned, because at that time not many people had the luxury of being educated in an institution and have the learning. Many people didn't know how to read and write. Those who knew how to read and write are a certain group of people. So when Prophet Muhammad is already mentioned in the Quran that this is the case, and he's bringing you the Quran as an illiterate person and going against your consensus and your science, proving you wrong, what should be our rational expectation of this phenomena? That he is the scientist. Back even then, we're calling him the best scientist, the best philosopher, best, people provide the best economist, best military leader, everything apart from messenger. All of that is to demonstrate to the people that he is a prophet of God, a messenger of God, as a proof and evidence so that people can believe in that book and have faith and certainty. Because anyone can say, I'm a prophet of God, right? But the Quran gives not only the guidance, it gives you the proof and evidence with that guidance at the same time, so that your heart can be settled, your mind can be settled, because your heart and mind will be synchronized with this understanding. You will say, yeah, it makes sense to believe in one God rather than many. It makes sense not to worship an idol like a monkey or an elephant or a half human, half elephant, or it makes sense not to worship in multiple of deities, 3 in 1, 5 in 20, whatever. But whatever it tells you about God, that God is all one, absolute, independent, self-sufficient, he is not born, doesn't produce children, there's no likeness unto him, your mind will accept that, your intellect will accept that, your heart will accept that. And that is what Islam makes people to willingly, voluntarily accept it. That's called the voluntary submission. Islam, as my Sheikh was saying, is a voluntary submission of oneself. By what? By this kind of processing critically, individually, without any coercion, without any force, by saying, I recognize the truth, yes, I understand the truth, and I appreciate, and it makes sense to me, and I want to follow this truth. That is what Islam wants us in terms of this kind of rationalization and intellectualization and internalization of this reality. To understand critically about a prophet and a messenger, we need to look at the life of that person and the claims they make. Because anyone can make a claim and say, I'm a prophet of God, right? I'm a messenger of God, so follow me, and so on. There are many false imposters that came over the history that we know. Even in Christendom, so many false prophets, for example, they will tell you. So we know even history, people claim to be prophets when they're not, because there are some internal motives of it. So even if we were to say, look, I'm going to critically analyze the life of the prophet, just to see whether indeed he was a prophet of God or not just simply taken by faith or because he says so. So when you look at his life, at one point, when he said, look, I'm not going to stop worshipping the idol, don't worship one God, they got sort of fed up and annoyed and irritated and said, you know what, don't say that anymore, because it's having a great economic impact on their business in Mecca, in Arabia at that time.
Which God can be worshipped anywhere, where they want the people to come to their idols to Mecca. That's what is their business.
Come with money, do the train. It's a booming business in Mecca at that time, because there's so many idols worshipping going on. People will come from Syria, from Yemen, and from all these different places. Him, by saying none of them are worship, we should not worship any one of those things, or worship God only, it ruins the trade and business and impacts their living and whatever, right? They didn't like it. So they wanted him to stop. He said, look, stop. You know what do you want? If you want to be the king, we will make you the king. If you want to be the richest person among us, we'll give you, just ask for whatever wealth you want.
More than all of us.
More than all of us. If you want women, is this what we're after? Just name them, you'll have the woman. Now, if someone was an imposter, Think about it. If someone was an imposter, say, my golden opportunity, there you go. Make me a king, make me the wealthiest, and give me all the women I need, right? You know what he said? He didn't want any of that. In fact, there's another occasion, in fact, he said even like this, even if you were to give the sun on one hand and the moon on the other, I would never stop calling you that there's no one worthy of worship except God alone. I would never stop. Even if you were to give me the sun and the moon in my hand. Because that resilience that he had in preaching the truth to the people. So he had the opportunity. If he was an imposter and a fake, now you know that that's what the fake and imposters will grab the opportunity. He said, no, I'm not going to take any of that. Instead, he kept on and he was tortured. The initial people who became Muslims, they were tortured and they were boycotted, they were killed. So much suffering, but they endured with all that. When he became eventually the leader, because when he went from Mecca to Medina, they all became Muslim, the whole community there. They welcomed him. They established the first Islamic community there. And they became eventually quite powerful, right? What happened was, even after that, when he came back to Mecca, so now he was like the leader of the whole community. So much political might and authority and power. What did he do to his enemies? All these enemies that made him suffer, his people suffer and die and kill and so on, he could have just wiped them all dead, right? He gave a general amnesty. Forgiveness to all, apart from few criminals. He needed to demonstrate that you have to have few exceptions. But apart from that, everyone else was, if you are going to go to this individual, you are safe, and so on and so forth. General amnesty, he forgave them all. That's not what someone who is being tortured and fake and now have the authority and might would do. They would commit vengeance and revenge. That's what we see the political leaders and people do when they become in power. And opposition people, when they come into power...
What happened in Germany, in Berlin? What happened to them when the Soviet and the Allies, when they entered Berlin? Look what happened to them. Literally, it's a mass killing inside Berlin. And as well, a mass rape to women. Like it was the case. So that still, you will find garbage. Women, they had poison, they killed themselves before the Allies. Because they know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So that's one thing.
Thousands of women killed themselves in Berlin because they don't want to be raped.
So that's when the opposition or parties become politically powerful and so on, they do. But what the Prophet said, general amnesty, forgiveness to all, and so on. So when he then established the communities with laws and so on, and he was governing like Arabia, right, at that point. How was he living? He explained, when he died, you would know the state of his living. So there were some elements now you can see in YouTube, a three-dimensional 3D of his house. Like he had a mattress made of, date palm leaves. At one point he was saying, what have you done to his wife? He's slept a little bit more.
It will help.
Because here,
when you lie on it, it will help. It will the size of it will be it will be attached to your body for quite some time.
From the palm tree. But even that, you were saying, why have you given more of that? You folded more to make myself comfortable. So that was like his bed, a brick or something like this. What is this pillow? When he could have had at that time, we're talking about luxurious clothing and so on from Persia, from Roman, Byzantine, and so on. But he didn't live like that. He had some utensils where you could have for water, and maybe some from barley or something like that, or something. And he had a shield that that was it. That's his house.
And that shield was mortgaged.
No, because he lived.
I know why.
He didn't want to live like a comfortable life, live like a king and so on, because his mission was to convey the truth, the message of the guidance to the people, not to live a life of luxury. So what's the point of going and becoming more and more comfortable?
And the last as well, when he was dying, in his last moment, he asked his wife,
I have
money at home. She said, we have 12 dirhams for them. 12 dirhams, which is like coins.
Yeah.
He said, give it to the poor and the needy. I don't want to face God for having a single thing.
So the wealth.
He asked to that.
Think about his life now. He could have gathered all the wealth. In fact, his companions, his believing companion, will give their life for him. If he just says, go and die, they will die. That is the level of support, commitment that people had. If you said, give me the world, they would bring the half of the wealth of Romans and the Byzantines and the Persians and so on. This is what it is. But he didn't want any of that. In fact, at one point, he didn't have, days went by, no food to eat apart from a few dates here and there. You know, dates, yeah? Tamar, it's called, okay? That is how the state of living, okay? So now we realize his living condition was such that it is not a person who is an imposter or a fake to live like that, because he had all the opportunities to live differently, because that's what fake people want, because they want to make themselves happy, rich, famous, commanding, authoritative. He had all of that, but he didn't behave any of that. He was so humble and so low. He was praying every night. He'd wake up every night and pray like 2/3, 1/3, 2/3 of the night. Why? Why would he do that? God has made him a messenger. He's forgiven him all his sins. But he says, am I not being... How the hadith goes? Alam akuna abdan shakura. Would I not be a grateful servant of God? Even though God has forgiven him and given all of that, he would say he will still behave like this and thank and glorify God. What else did he do? In terms of, we talked about, some people say, you know what, he did all of this because he wanted to unify the Arabs. Guess what? He was talking against the Arabs. How can you do this? How can you bury your daughters alive? How do you bury your daughters alive? For what sin do you do that? Because you will be questioned for what you do that. Because they had the tradition of, when a female child was born, they considered it as a financial liability because they have to marry her off and so on and so forth. They would take the live child somewhere else and bury her alive.
Yeah, they used to do
That's how it was.
Really?
Exactly, yes. That's how they were.
That was the norm. And can you imagine someone who is standing against this? That was the norm. That's how much. Why do you think people, think about it, why do you think people from all around the world, from different cultures, from different backgrounds, why they believed in him? Why do you think this? Why do you think someone, this brother from Bangladesh, another brother from India, some brother from Africa, from all around them, why some people will believe in someone who's an Arab man in India will be okay because of his character.
But the question
He shows,
So just to continue.
that shows a great character, peace be upon him. So the question is to you, Sister Georgia. I will ask you, do you believe in God?
Were you following George?
I was fine.
After we discussed about Prophet, you believe he is a prophet from God. So that makes you Muslim.
Really?
Yes. But you have to accept Islam as a become an official Muslim. The person has to take a step, which is the testimony, which is the person has to testify there is none worthy of worship except Allah, meaning Allah is the one God, and to testify that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and then will be officially Muslim, like all Muslims, and will be member of 1.8 billion brothers and sisters. You will be our sister in Islam, and we'll be there inshallah.
great, and Jesus is also a
To
prophet.
teach you, and we'll be there inshallah to teach you and to help you and all of this. Now, do you want to accept?
Because in your heart,
No worries. Before the mosque, no problem.
in your heart, you're already a Muslim.
You're already Muslim.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
She coming back to that.
we will, and by the way, we have I run as well the Salah course to teach people how to pray. I do it at least as part of mosque, which is through as well as a part of my project I do with Salam. So inshallah, if you want it, we'll start teaching. But the first thing now is you, Georgia. Yeah, is you. Now, since you in your heart you're a Muslim, yeah, to take that step of testimony of Islam, to say it, we'll say it, to say it in English, which you understand, and then to say it in Arabic, that's how it works, yeah? And then after that, it will be good, you'll be welcome to this 1.8 billion brothers and sisters, okay?
Movies you have to do it for yourself, not for others.
Yeah.
And
Alright? Yeah? Let's say it together.
Oh, yeah.
what do you want to
Oh, you do?
I mean, she's like, oh, I'll tell
One
you.
second, brother. But listen, sister, you're already there. I'm not convincing you of something which you are not. You are already there.
Yeah.
So you just only you're doing that as a
Thing is-
official Muslim. Yeah. Yeah. So you're already there. I'm not I'm not
No, yeah,
introducing
no,
him.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So what we will say, just to say the testimony, you will become official Muslim. To identify yourself as a Muslim, and slowly, it's a gradual. Islam is a journey of learning. You keep learning, and you learn, and you learn, and you learn. And all of us here, we're going to be there to teach you and to help you, and for any questions, we're going to help you. Alright? Okay. Now, wait a second. Okay, let's do the testimony. Yeah.
I don't want to do anything with everyone
No,
else.
don't worry.
That's
Okay.
fine. That's fine. Let's go to one side.
If you want,
Shall we go to one side?
or here? Total up to you.
But yeah, listen.
I don't know.
Listen, by the way,
There's a lot of
and that's a great thing. Yeah, that's a great thing. By the way, you are, what happens, let me tell you something, yeah? You are already there. Yeah. Just only to say, we'll say it in English, and then we'll say it in Arabic, alright? Okay? Repeat after me.
No, wait a minute. I think, listen, I think because, I mean, obviously, if she has to do it, you know.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to do it in a mosque. If you feel that you have to go to a mosque, there's no need to go to a mosque.
I don't know
make
whether
the
she was serious about that.
No.
Because the song.
أشهد
أشهد
أن لا
أن لا
إله
إله
إلا
إلا
الله
الله
وأشهد
وأشهد
أن محمدا
محمدا
رسول
رسول
الله.
الله. Yes.
You are officially Muslim. And there's few good things for you. Firstly, all your sins is wiped as if you are a newborn baby. You have no sins.
Really?
That's the first thing. That you are a new Muslim and you accepted Islam. That's something which is great. Now, my advice to you as well, of course in Islam recognizes marital relationship, husband and wife get married.
That's easy. You can Muslim.
You know,
Can I speak to you later? Thank you.
then you can. That's the distinct.
Well done.
That's the distinct. And of course, modest is the key to Islam. So of course, so you're already there as well to improve. You know, that's something which is in your advantage. That's something which is inshallah. And that's what we want. We want the good for you, and we hope the best for you. And if you have any questions, inshallah, as I mentioned to you, we'll exchange our contact, inshallah. And if you have any questions, I have two
You phone dead?
yeah.
They could give you my number and then.
Yeah, sure. We generally have like sisters, like only sisters group. Like, we have sisters group for WhatsApp. So if you could share your experience.
You can write it down.
If you have
the number.
any questions or something, then you could direct there, ask your question there, and then the other sisters as well, they will know. If you have anything you want to share with them and things like that. And as well, some of them they have the same experience like you. Some of them they might have certain things. They say, "Oh, how can I go about, for example, to explain this to my parents?" They have, you know, a river. They can relate to each other. They can help you out. That's something which is a general. Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
So it's very important to be in company
That's
with
something-
Muslim
be in
sisters
company
to
with
help
Muslim
you
sisters.
develop yourself, not only in knowledge but in
Your
practice.
WhatsApp number, whatever the WhatsApp number.
do you have my number? Have you not called me? You've saved
I'll
it.
give you. Shall I give you my number and then you
I can
send me
give
a
you-
text or
Because
something?
the issue is we wanted to add her to the WhatsApp group.
Well,
for the
like
sisters.
her phone is dead. Like her phone is dead.
You have her number?
No,
Do you have it on
I
my
don't
phone? Have you not called
like I
me?
just, I don't have. I mean,
Oh, your phone's dead as well.
just try to.
Very exciting.
Don't say it because I don't want these numbers to be
Oh,
You're there.
for the whole world to share.
I'm trying to think what I could
I
do.
have my phone, but do you have Facebook or something?
Yeah, maybe I could give you my number on Facebook later.
Yeah, okay. Give me
My phone is dead as well.
your phone is little. Put your
I have
number.
my.
Put your number here. What's your name, brother?
Eunice.
Where are you from, Yunus?
I'm a Moroccan.
Okay, brother Yunus. What I will do later on, if you can kindly
Yeah, my
just
phone is
text me.
dead.
Okay, I will text you.
Yeah, send me a text, and then I'll give her your number, and then you add her into.
Yeah. Because it's the sisters only, so you can comfortably discuss between yourselves rather than
Yeah, that's
people interfering.
generally the sisters group, which is
I mean, listen, because you've been
They
like
have-
interested, Georgia, yeah.
We cannot convince anyone, neither can the Prophet to guide. he's not able to guide. Allah is the one to guide. We are only the conveyor of message. Conveyor of message. Even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Prophet, he tried and tried to get his own uncle to become Muslim.
And he couldn't.
He couldn't. So the guidance is not in the hands of us or even in the Prophet. The guidance is in the hands of Allah. So we should be really grateful. We should be really grateful and thankful to Allah for this. Okay? So, may Allah, bless you. May Allah bless you and increase you. Take care, right?
Yeah, I'll send her the number.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good night, yeah?